Yo, so what if there was a really simple way that you could throw on one single plugin into your beats onto Maschine and instantly add another layer of realism and lushness and instantly improve your mix? Okay, what if there was a simple way to instantly make your beats sound more realistic and more polished and more professional? That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about a plugin in Maschine or an effect that comes in your Maschine stock library called Reverb. And if you're not using Reverb correctly now in your music, you're missing out on a layer and a level of professionalism that is holding your music back. Alright, so today what we're going to do is we're going to jump on over to Maschine and I'm going to show you the specific scenarios in which I use reverb on drums, on synthesizer sounds, on samples in order to add another layer of lushness, realism, and professional polish to my beats. Alright, it's a very simple technique. My name is Rob. I'm the author of Maschine, the Hip Hop Beatmaker's Missing Manual, which is the #1 resource in the world for Maschine producers that are looking to quickly improve their sound and make album quality beats on Maschine, alright? But more on that later. So what we're going to do right now is jump on over to Maschine, and I'm going to walk you through the specific scenarios that you can use to add more realism, more depth, more lushness to your music using Maschine's stock reverb plugin. So before we jump into it, I want to sort of educate you about what reverb actually is and why it's so important to us as producers and audio engineers when we're using this effect within our beats. Okay? In the real world acoustic environment, like every time that you speak, every time that you hear a noise, you are hearing a simulation of reverb. Okay? So reverb is just distinct repetitions of sounds and reflections of sounds. You know, when you're talking, for example, as I am right now in a bedroom, the sound is bouncing off the floors, it's bouncing off the ceiling and the walls, and this environment is creating its own sort of acoustic footprint that is audible to people who are in this room listening to me. It's even audible to you right now because it's being picked up by this microphone. All right, and that's what I want you to get. Different environments, like for example, this bedroom has a different acoustic environment than say a huge Roman cathedral with high ceilings. The sound would bounce off differently. It would have its own unique acoustic footprint. And that Roman cathedral's acoustic footprint would be totally different than if I was talking to you in a field. Sound wouldn't be bouncing off of anything, and it might sound completely different. So that's the effect that we're simulating with our music. Just because our ears are so attuned and used to hearing sound bounce off of objects and reflect back to us in different ways, in different combinations, in different places, our ears are expecting that in music, okay? So if your music is not utilizing reverb, it doesn't sound correct in terms of the way that our brain perceives sound, okay? So you're going to have to start to learn how to utilize reverb and utilize the different settings within reverb, and reverb to recreate that acoustic space within your music, all right? And this is what this is all about. Back in the day, I guess record labels and recording engineers and artists would record in specific locations. Like they might go and record in a specific church or something, or at a performance venue that had good acoustics so that those acoustic properties can be heard in their tracks. Okay, so they might go and perform at a small room club to get that essence because the reverb and the reflections and the acoustics of that place sound correct. Well, today we're recording in a digital environment, so we have to sort of recreate the acoustics of a real world environment in our music in order to make it sound natural and realistic and correct, right? So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to jump on over to Maschine, and just before we dive into this, I want to let you know that you can go ahead, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I linked the blog article below in the description. There's a little bit more in-depth content inside of the actual blog article that I wrote for this. The demonstration is going to veer a little bit in a different direction, but go ahead and check that out if you can. But let's jump on over to Maschine, and I'm going to show you how I'd utilize a reverb inside of a recording, all right? Let me see what I've got so far. So typically, let's go ahead and take this off. just so we can start from scratch. So I'm going to play this track from scratch. All right, I'm going to delete everything just so it's the basic drum kit and a electric piano. And then I'm going to utilize reverb so that you can see the differences in the acoustics between the sound and how the reverb adds a little bit different flavor to the track and makes it seem a little bit better. All right, so let me play this for you first. Okay, so what we could do, there are two options that we could do. A lot of people tend to throw reverb directly on the signal chain. Like, say this is my drum group, and I'll say this is drums, and this is the electric piano. You could throw this directly on the signal chain for this electric piano. Take a reverb, go do internal, throw a reverb on there, and it would work. All right, but the thing that I like to do makes it a little bit easier. I like to use my reverb as a send channel. So I'll set up a send channel. You can watch my video on send channels to get more in-depth look at what send channels actually are. But basically what this is doing is it's creating an alternate version of our sound. We're going to keep our original sound, route it through this send channel, and it's going to create a little bit different effect, all right? And it's going to allow us a little bit more freedom to adjust the reverb to taste, all right? So I'm going to throw this regular reverb on a send channel, label a group send channel, and now I have a reverb send. And I'm going to send my sound directly to here. I'm not going to dive into the details, guys. If you want the details of this, you're going to have to allow me to explain this to you in depth. I do that inside of my Beat School program, but for right now, I want to make this tutorial short. So what I did was I routed both of these drum groups and the electric piano group through this reverb send channel. I press group, press this output tab, and routed it through the reverb, all right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and control this sound through this reverb. And this is going to allow me to add this in my song, all right? So let's first hear what it sounds like off, and then I'm going to slowly dial it up. Okay, so I routed this through this send channel. Let me go ahead and break down exactly what all these individual reverb parameters are. So we've got the reverb time, and this is essentially the tail of the reverb. So how long is the reverb itself going to last? We've got the mode, and there's three different types of reverb. There's a plate reverb, which simulates a plate reverb, a classic plate reverb. It's a way to more of like a metallic reverb. There's a hall reverb, which emulates a large, maybe concert hall, so it's much broader, much larger. And then there's a room reverb. I tend to stick with the room reverb. And also we have a second reverb as well. In here we have a legacy reverb, which is the original reverb from Maschine, all right? And I also want to let you guys know that reverbs are probably your most important plugin that you are utilizing, all right? So just for the sake of this tutorial, and I know that you are probably a beginner with effects and mixing, but I typically would utilize a much better reverb in my beats, not the Maschine reverb, all right? The Maschine reverb does the job. It takes you probably 80% of the way there, but just because of the importance of reverb on your sound, I typically like to use a better reverb. All right, so for the sake of that, I know it kind of put a damper on things, but let me jump into the different parameters in the settings. We have room size, which, like I said, simulates the size of the room, all right? So obviously you increase it, it'll make for a bigger sound. The damping sort of colors the sound in a different way. So you can determine what area of the sound or what specific frequencies that you want to apply some color to. Modulation modulates the amount of dampening, so it can sort of play around with that to get a little bit of a different sound. Diffusion represents how much diffusion is going on in the sound. So basically, like, it'll sort of add a um, different amount of reverb to a specific spot, so you can diffuse the sound in different ways and sort of make the reverb not as direct. The pre-delay determines a certain amount of time in which you separate the original audio signal from the delayed audio signal, or from your reverberated audio signal. So if you turn this all the way down, they sort of blend together. The more that you turn it up, the further the more amount of time it takes for the reflection to bounce back and hit you, okay? And the mix, of course, controls the overall amount of reverb applied to this individual track. All right, so I'm going to dive into the drums and the piano, and what I'm going to do is show you how you can utilize this reverb in these two situations. So I'm just going to create two distinct reverbs in synth channels. And the benefit of this is that if I decide to utilize these reverbs in different settings, I can save these reverb synth channels and utilize this exact same reverb in the future. And it also allows me one point of control. So there are definitely benefits to utilizing synth channels as opposed to applying things directly to the signal chain. And I talk about those in detail in the synth channel video, so check that out. So let's go ahead and finish mixing with the reverb for the rest of the sounds. And before we go on, guys, this is another important distinction. When you're mixing with reverb, your ears start to become used to the acoustics of the sound. So it's important that you isolate the reverb by turning it on and turning it off again to make sure that your ears don't get used to the reflections of the sound. You can sort of make incorrect judgment calls in terms of how much reverb you're applying and not really understand what you're doing. So a lot of times, if you are listening to it repetitively, your ears can get tricked. So make sure that you sort of turn it on and off to make sure that you're adding the correct amount of reverb and not too much. So I don't know if you guys noticed that it was subtle, but I added some reverb to the electric piano sound. It sort of broadened it outwards in the mix, made it sound more full, and that's why I really like to use synths instead of applying it directly to the signal channel. Guys, and that's pretty much it for reverb. Like I said, it's simulating real-world acoustic environments and allowing you to implement those elements and put them into your music, making things seem more lush, more realistic, and it's more of an advanced technique, but it's really important if you want to improve your sound on Maschine. So at this point, obviously, you're serious about learning the really nerdy side of Maschine. You're interested in improving your technique so that you can advance your sound on Maschine, make better music, and take the next step in your music career. Okay? Well, I've got an interesting opportunity for you today. If you want to learn more about effects like reverb and techniques that you can utilize to improve your sound on Maschine, I want you to grab a copy of my book. It's called Maschine, the Hip Hop Beatmaker's Missing Manual. It's an 89-page guide that goes in depth into the advanced techniques on Maschine. So we talk about concepts in here like equalization, like audio delay and compression. We go over all of the important Maschine effects and parameters that you can use to improve the polish and the professionalism of your sound on Maschine. Really important stuff, okay? And I've got a deal going on today. The price of this book is normally $49, all right? And even at that price, it's obviously worth it for you to be able to improve the sound of the beats that you're making on Maschine for $50, as well as advance your music and your music career. That's obviously well worth it, considering you probably paid $500, maybe even $1,000 for a machine. It's obviously important that you learn how to use these tools and learn the techniques in order to make the best quality music possible. But today, I'm gonna hook you up with a really special deal on this book. All right, I've just discovered that in the past year or so that the more people that get their hands on this book, the bigger my brand becomes. You know, the more of an impact I can make in this machine community and the more value that I can give, all right? So today I'm going to let you grab a copy of this $49 book for just $1. All right, but I need you to act now because this deal is not going to be on the table forever. I can raise the price at any moment. But in order to grab your copy of this book, if you're on YouTube, I want you to click the link in the description for the book. If you're on the blog, there will be a link below the video in the text of the blog article for you to grab your $1 copy of this book, your discounted copy. When you click the link, you're going to land upon a page that looks like this. Let's see. I didn't have that loaded up. You're going to land upon a page where essentially you can enter your name and your payment information for the book. All right. Like I said, it's literally $1. There's no catch. There's no hidden tricks. Nothing like that. Grab your copy of this 89-page book. Step your game up with the machine. Step your sound up on Maschine for the price of a cheeseburger at McDonald's. Okay, it's well worth the value, guys. Take action now. Go ahead and grab it by clicking the link in the description and improve the quality of your sound for next to nothing. All right, so I appreciate your investment of time in watching this video. Go ahead and click the subscribe button if you want more free information about how to improve your sound on Maschine. This is hands down the best channel on Maschine specifically for intermediate and advanced machine producers. There are plenty of channels out there for beginners, all right, and that's great. Obviously, I have utilized those channels in the past, but for those of you that are looking to get the more advanced concepts and techniques to take your sound to the next level and not just learn how to do the basics, this channel is for you, all right? So click the subscribe button. My name is Rob. Go ahead and grab your copy of the book. I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon. All right, peace.